Hi all, thanks for joining in the short video. This is going to be a quick explanation of how you can add your first MCP server to the NANDA registry and launch along with us as part of the NANDA architecture. So as a very quick refresher, let me go ahead and share my screen. The NANDA registry front end can be found at ui.nandaregistry.com. Uh, and the goal for all of you who would like to join with us would be to register your server. Let me just sign in. Yeah, would be to register your server as part of the NANDA registry. So first step is to get instructions and guidelines. For that, please go to this GitHub repo that has been shared with you, and you can find the link in the description as well. github.com/ai-decentralized/nanda servers. This is an aggregator GitHub repo where just for records, we are keeping all the MCP Nanda servers that are hosted on the Nanda registry in this GitHub repo. If you look at the README on this GitHub repo, this will give you a step-by-step guideline of how to set up your first MCP server and get started. To do this, first step is, of course, have your necessary environments ready. Do ensure that your Python version is up to date. It says Python 3.9 plus. I recommend doing 3.10 or 3.11 just to be safe. Go ahead and install the necessary dependencies, MCP, as well as some other pip packages. Do this all in a virtual environment, so this is reproducible when you host. And below that, we give you the basic server structure. From your perspective, all you need to do is to use this code that we have given you. And then the only changes that you need to make are add the name of your MCP server over here, and then go ahead below and actually define your specific tools that you want to be part of your MCP server. Uh, as a quick example, we have also given you a full-fledged working MCP server code over here for a weather API that has two tool functions. First is to get alerts for a particular state, and the second is to get the forecast for a particular latitude and longitude. So you can go ahead and, as a first attempt, copy paste this, host it locally, run the necessary install the necessary dependencies, and then run this locally to see whether this weather API works correctly or not. And I will show you in a bit how you can test whether your MCP server is working correctly. One important thing to note from the perspective of adding two important things actually. The first important thing is that your home page, your root directory, where you're hosting the MCP server, should return a 200 on request, which means it should have something on the home page. The code we supply over here has something on the home page that will work perfectly, but you don't need to follow this exactly. You can have anything, even just an okay or done or working on your root directory. Second thing to note, to work with deploying a remote server, we have to use an SSC transport-based protocol as opposed to Studio, which is what MCP usually uses. So please do follow the steps over here to enable SSC. That being said, so here are this code base has the fundamental instructions that you will need to follow to set up your own NANDA server, MCP server. That being said, I will run you now through a very simple example just to show how you can go about setting up your MCP server in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So the example I'm going to be showing you is that of an inventory management. Oh, just yeah. The example I'm going to be showing you is for an inventory management MCP server. So here I have a simple CSV file for office supplies inventory, which has various fields. And I want to build an MCP server that has two capabilities. The first is to give the list of all the objects that are present in the inventory. And the second is, given the name of a particular object, give all of its attributes, such as category, quantity, price, supplier, location, and so on and so on. To do this, I start with the example given over here on the GitHub repo I talked to you earlier about. For example, I take the weather API. I changed some fundamental things. Let me show you the code. So here it is. It's basically the same code as a weather API. I name it as I want to. I have no API calls involved over here. So I just give my inventory CSV path. I define a function, which is basically just loading and reading the CSV file. And then I define two tools over here. The first is get items, which gets a list of all items in the CSV file. And that is basically just a sort of a column call from the CSV file. And the second is get item info. So given an item name, I am able to get the attributes for that, which again is a simple CSV call. Everything else remains the same sort of homepage code as is given in the template code, using SSC protocol, hosting it at default 0000 with a port 8080, which is important for SSC, which is all given in the template code that has been shown to you. Uh, Once you have all of this done, so namely just name your MCP server. If you're loading from a CSV or a database or an API, define those up top and then define your tools and whatever helper functions you need. And that's about it. So this is actually so simple that if you have some task in mind, you can actually just copy paste this already working weather API code in an AI assistant like Claude or ChatGPT, type out the functionality that you need, and it'll return to you exactly what you need, which you can just directly use. This is how I've done this. It'll take only 10 minutes and it'll work easily because this is so straightforward and simple. What you need to host this is a requirements file, which includes all the packages that you need, and a server.py or something similar, which will be a run file that will run on wherever you're hosting it publicly and open up a public endpoint that can be used for the SSC connection. Once you have all of this code set up, by the way, feel free to pause and rewind any of this if you want to go through it over again. But once you have all this set up, the next step is to just test it out. So let me show you how you can do this. First, for the code that I showed you, you would of course run the requirements file, which I've already done over here in a Conda environment. You can use a Conda environment, you can use a Python VM, whatever you want. Once you have done it, then you can just simply run your run command. In my case, it's python server.py, and just wait for it to start hosting. Uh, we'll just wait for it to start hosting shortly. Once it starts hosting, you can actually see this line over here, which tells you where it's being hosted. So if we very quickly go to this location, you can see that the root actually has something. It's not empty, which is required to register on the NANDA registry. Now that this is working, we will use a cool and simple tool known as the MCP inspector. So just run npx model context protocol / inspector, and that will give you access to what's called the MCP inspector, which is hosted at this URL. So locally, of course, if you go there, all you need to do is choose your transport type to be SSC, then take where you are locally hosting your MCP server, in this case here. Remember to put a /SSC and then hit connect. If all's good, if the SSC connection is working correctly, this connection should go through. Then you can go to the tools tab. You can ask it to list the tools that are available, and these should be all the tools that you defined. Then you can one by one go and just check functionality. In my case, get items does not have any argument. It just lists all the items available in my inventory as it does over here. Get item info. I just give the name of a particular item, in this case, office chair. Sorry, office chair, ergonomic. And when I run it, it'll give me all the information about office chair. This is my expected functionality. So once that works, I am good to go. And my MCP server is working correctly. So I can just close all of this, stop my local host. So kill both of these over here, and then I'm good to go. I'm good to host this MCP server on a public endpoint and then add it to the NANDA registry. Now, there are a few options that you can follow to host it on a public endpoint. Most folks are hosting it themselves. Whatever hosting service your organization uses, just host it on a public endpoint. Once you host it on a public endpoint, go ahead and register on the NANDA registry over here. So again, log in, create an account, click on register server, follow these steps over here. So add a server name, put a short name, whatever you want, add a brief description. Then over here, add your server URL. So remember that your server URL should be just HTTPS. Uh, so your server URL should just be HTTPS. Let's say your root directory is mcproot.com. It could be anything, of course. And your SSE is hosted out of mcproot.com/SSE. Over here, do not put the SSE, just put mcproot.com. Uh, Add some link to your documentation if you want, change your organization name, add all of these things. And once you're done, move to the next step. Add this if you need to, click on review. And if you've done all of this correctly, and once you hit register, it should get registered. So this was the first way where you host it yourself. You register over here. Then you go to Nanda servers, create a pull request over here, and just send the pull request. You've already hosted your server. You've registered it on the Nanda registry. All is good. And then we'll just merge it with the repository for records. The second option is that if you are unable to host the server yourself and if you need us to host it for you, again, go here, create a pull request, say that you want us to host your MCP server for you, and also give us an email ID in the pull request itself so that once we host it for you, we can give you the public endpoint and send it to you via email so that you can use that endpoint to register on the Nanda registry. That's about it. Once, if you follow all of these steps correctly, if you go to these web pages, this documentation page over here, you should be able to have all the instructions that you need to host your Nanda server remotely. So that's about it, folks. Hopefully these instructions are useful to you. All the links that you need will be in the description below. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or any issues with hosting your MCP server to the Nanda registry. Our priority is to ensure that adding your MCP server to the Nanda registry is as easy as possible to you for you. So please reach out to us if any issues, and we are very excited to see all your creative MCP servers on the Nanda registry so you can launch with us on Tuesday. Thank you so much and see you soon. Bye-bye.